Okay, so you were assigned this worksheet, explanations at the top, to do when the test was over, when you finished the test on Thursday, and then if you didn't finish it in class, your assignment was to finish it as homework and be prepared to turn it in today. There's an example here to show you how it's done. The question is basically, how many times must you multiply, and each of these questions are kind of the same. How many times do you multiply a formula to get a certain number of atoms of a certain element? The answer goes here. The justification goes here. Justification is, why can you do it that way? Okay? So, how many times must you multiply methane? I even give you the formula here. Must multiply methane to get 8 hydrogen atoms. Okay? 2. And the justification is that methane has 4 hydrogen atoms. Okay? To get 8, you must multiply. Hold on one second. The formula by 2 because 2 times 4 equals 8. Now you could word it differently, but there are 2 critical things that you need to have in this formula and in this justification to be reasonable. One is you have to identify the number of hydrogens in the formula. Okay, so that's worth 1 point. And then you explain how you get 8 from the original number. And that's worth a point. Alright, so altogether the justification is 2 points. The answer itself is worth 1 point. Okay? So now not to tell me what the answer is, you have to tell me how you get that answer. Does that make sense? Alright. We know. We've already gone over that. Yeah. Number two we're going to skip over because I failed to make it a different problem. It's the same problem. So number 3, how many times must you multiply calcium hydroxide to get 10 oxygen atoms? 5 times. There are 2 oxygen atoms in the formula. To get 10, we multiply it by 5. So, to explain that then, to justify it, calcium hydroxide So calcium hydroxide has 2 oxygen atoms. That's the beginning place. And that's worth a point, remember. Okay? Then you're going to explain how it is you start with that number it has to get the number you want. Okay? And that justification, or this part of the justification where you explain how you get 10 when you're starting with just 2 is also worth 1 point. And the answer itself is 1 point. Okay? Number 4, how many times must you multiply one formula unit of aluminum nitrate to get 18 oxygen atoms? Well, to know that, you've got to figure out what the formula for aluminum nitrate is. And that's what we learned in Unit 3, is how to figure out the balanced formula. So aluminum has a 3+ charge. Nitrate has a 1 negative charge. Okay, you look up both of those on various places in your test references. Aluminum and its charge will be found on the periodic table with oxidation numbers. Nitrate will be found on the list of common ions that's in your test references. Then, as we learned in Unit 3, to balance the charges and get a balanced formula, we have to have 3 nitrates to give us 3 negative charges. This subscript 3 here tells you how many oxygens. It doesn't tell you the charge. The charge is at the top in the superscript position. So 3 of these particles will give you 3 negative charges to balance a 3+ charge on the aluminum ion. And when you put it together into a formula, it looks like this. AlNO3, 3. So we have 3 nitrates attached to the aluminum ion to get a balanced, neutrally charged formula. Okay, now we can explain how we get, we start with 9 oxygens here. 3 outside the parentheses multiplies the nitrate by 3, and there are 3 oxygens in the nitrate, so there are 9 oxygens to start with. Yes?
I did it, but I think I left it at home.
Okay, well, you just have to do the makeup. Yeah. Okay. So this is how we know that aluminum nitrate So this is how we show that aluminum nitrate has 9 oxygen atoms. To get 18, you must multiply the formula by 2 because 9 times 2 is 18. And so the answer over here is 2. You didn't do aluminum nitrate? Then it's wrong. And they can do the makeup. If they want to do if they want all the points. All right, number 5. How many times must you multiply a single pentane molecule to get 36 hydrogen atoms? Well, first of all, you have to know how many hydrogen atoms a pentane has. We learned this in Unit 3. If we take the formula for pentane, using the name, pentane, the P-E-N-T part of pentane means 5. The A-N-E tells you there are only single bonds between hydrogen atoms. So if I have between carbon atoms. If I have 5 carbon atoms, and each carbon atom has to have 4 bonds, and I put hydrogens around the carbons and bond those to give each carbon a total of 4, then the molecular formula comes out to be C5H12. So in the original formula, there are 12 hydrogen atoms. Okay? So pentane, C5H12, has 12 hydrogen atoms. To get 36, the formula must be multiplied by 3. Because 12 times 3 equals 36. So the answer over here is 3. And the whole worksheet is worth a maximum of 12 points. So if you're grading somebody's paper, I don't think anybody brought theirs up here for me to grade, I'll be glad to do that for anybody. Remember that. You want to make sure you put whatever their total score is at the top of their paper. Then I'll come in and collect the grades. Alright, so if you didn't do the homework, assuming you weren't absent, now if you're absent it's a different story, but if you just didn't do your homework or you didn't bring it in on time, then this makeup can be done but for lower credit. Okay, you lose credit when you don't turn it in on time. If you did it the first time and you just made some mistakes and didn't get 100%, then you can do it and get all the credit. Okay, so let's say you got 9 points out of 12 the first time you did it. If you redo this, then you can get full credit for it. Okay.